Basically, it uses a robotically controlled water jet to remove the extra prostate tissue that's causing all this trouble.
So it's like a super tiny, high-tech power washer for your prostate. Welcome to Urine Good Hands, the podcast where we dive into everything urology. Leading-edge treatments, education on a variety of topics, and expert insights to keep you informed and healthy. Brought to you by the Advanced Urology Institute of Georgia, where innovation meets compassionate care. Because when it comes to your health, you're always in good hands. As always, the information discussed today is purely informative and does not constitute medical advice. All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're looking at Aquablation. It's a pretty revolutionary treatment for BPH.
Benign Prostatic Hyperplasia.
Exactly. BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. You hear BPH and you might be thinking, what's that? But it's something that affects a lot of men, especially, as they get past 50.
Right.
Basically, the prostate gland starts getting bigger and it squeezes the urethra. And that leads to, well, all sorts of uncomfortable problems when it comes to peeing.
Absolutely. And it's something that we see all the time at Advanced Urology in Georgia. It might not be, the most comfortable dinner table topic,
right?
But it's incredibly common. And those symptoms, having to go all the time, weaker stream, especially at night, and just that feeling like you can't quite empty your bladder.
Oh, yeah.
All of that can really impact a man's life.
No kidding. I would imagine it affects your sleep, your work, even just going out with friends. So it's no wonder guys want a solution that really works. So tell me, how does Aquablation help with this?
Well, you can think about it as a really precise way of tackling the problem. Basically, it uses a robotically controlled water jet to remove the extra prostate tissue that's causing all this trouble.
So it's like a super tiny, high-tech power washer for your prostate.
Yeah, that's not a bad analogy. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't use any heat, unlike some of those older methods.
Wait, so back up for a sec. Why is the no-heat thing such a big deal?
Good question. So heat-based methods have a much higher chance of side effects. And this can be pretty serious, especially when we're talking about sexual function and continence.
Right. Nobody wants to trade one problem for another.
Exactly. So with Aquablation, that water jet is so precise that it only takes out what needs to go, leaving everything else safe and sound.
Okay, so less risk of those unwanted side effects. That's a big deal for men who are concerned about that.
Absolutely. And another really cool thing is how it all works. The whole procedure is done using real-time imaging. So basically, it's like a 3D map of your prostate guiding the surgeon, so they know exactly where to target that water jet.
Oh, wow. So they're sculpting the prostate back to a healthier size, but with water instead of a chisel.
Exactly. And because there's no cutting involved, there's typically less bleeding, less pain, and a much faster recovery time. Most men are back on their feet in just a few days.
So we've got a minimally invasive procedure, less risk of complications, faster recovery. I'm starting to see why this is such a game changer. But let's get specific. What are the real benefits of Aquablation? What makes it stand out from the other treatment options out there?
One of the biggest advantages is that it's effective for a really wide range of prostate sizes. Some of the other minimally invasive options are only good for smaller prostates, but Aquablation can handle both medium and large ones.
Oh, wow. So it helps a wider range of men find relief.
Exactly. And we've touched on this, but it's worth saying again, the lower risk of sexual dysfunction is huge. That peace of mind is something a lot of men are looking for.
Peace of mind is a big deal. And I can only imagine the faster recovery time is a huge plus, too. Less time off work, less discomfort, it all adds up. But we need to be realistic, right? Are there any downsides or risks we need to talk about?
Of course. Every medical procedure has potential risks. With Aquablation, though, they're pretty rare. Some men might experience some, temporary urinary problems after the procedure.
Okay.
Things like urgency or a bit of discomfort.
Gotcha.
There's also a slight chance of bleeding, but it's usually minimal.
And I'm assuming a catheter is part of the deal, too?
Yeah, a temporary catheter is usually placed for a short time after the procedure, just to help with urination while things are healing. It's usually removed within a few days.
So a little bit of temporary discomfort in a catheter for a few days. Not too bad, especially when you consider those long-term benefits.
Exactly, and it's important to remember what we're talking about here, right? Potentially life-changing improvements, sleeping through the night, feeling more confident, being able to enjoy social situations. It's about getting back in control and living life to the fullest.
That's what it's all about. So for someone who's thinking about Aquablation, what should they expect? What's that recovery process typically look like?
Well, usually you would stay in the hospital overnight just for observation, and then the catheter is removed within a few days. Most people start noticing improvements in their symptoms pretty quickly, sometimes even within a week or two.
Wow.
But, it's important to remember that full recovery takes time. We're talking a few months as your body heals.
And I imagine those follow-up appointments are key during that recovery period.
Absolutely. Those regular checkups allow the team at Advanced Urology in Georgia to monitor your progress and address any concerns. It's all about personalized care, which is really a hallmark of Advanced Urology's approach.
Now, we've talked a lot about aquablation, but there are other treatment options out there. What are some of the alternatives, and how does aquablation compare?
Sure. Some of the more common alternatives would be TURP, that stands for transurethral resection of the prostate.
Okay,
There's HoLEP, which is holmium laser enucleation of the prostate. And then there's Urolift and PAE, or prostatic artery embolization.
gotcha.
TURP and HoLEP, those are more traditional surgeries, while Urolift and PAE are minimally invasive, kind of like aquablation. But each has its own pros and cons, and the best option really depends on the individual. That's why a thorough consultation at a place like Advanced Urology is so important.
Okay, so when would aquablation be the go-to choice over some of these other options? What makes it stand out?
Well, we've talked about it, but aquablation is particularly well suited for men with medium to large prostates.
Right.
TURP and HoLEP can be effective in those cases, but they carry a higher risk of complications, especially when it comes to sexual function.
Interesting. And what about Urolift and PAE? How do those fit in?
Urolift and PAE are usually good for smaller prostates, but they might not be as effective for larger ones. So if you've got a medium to large prostate and you're concerned about, minimizing risks to sexual health, then aquablation really becomes a very attractive option.
So there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's about finding the right solution for the individual.
Exactly. That's why that open conversation with a qualified urologist is so important. They can look at your situation, explain the pros and cons of each option, and help you make the best decision for you. Advanced Urology in Georgia really prides itself on this patient-centered approach.
Well, it sounds like we know a few qualified urologists.
Indeed, we do. The team at Advanced Urology in Georgia, they are experts in BPH treatment, especially aquablation. They have tons of experience, and they're dedicated to providing, truly personalized care for each patient.
So if you're dealing with BPH and you want to explore options, Advanced Urology in Georgia sounds like a great resource.
They really are.
We'll be sure to provide their contact information at the end of our deep dive.
Excellent, because ultimately knowledge is power. The more you understand about your condition and what's available, the better equipped you'll be to make the best decisions. And that's something we're really passionate about.
I love that. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go deeper into the patient experience with aquablation and answer some of those burning questions you might have. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back, and I think it's worth mentioning, BPH isn't just a physical thing, right?
Right.
I mean, it can take a toll on a man's mental and emotional well-being, too.
Oh, absolutely. Advanced urology, they hear all the time from men who feel like they're missing out on life because of BPH. They're constantly worried about finding a bathroom. They might be hesitant to travel or even just, go hang out with friends.
Yeah.
And their sleep is disrupted night after night.
Oh, yeah.
It really can impact their confidence and just their overall quality of life.
It's a shame that something like this can hold people back. So when we're talking about the benefits of aquablation, it's not just about, getting rid of those physical symptoms. It's about giving men back their freedom and their confidence, too.
Exactly. And what's really encouraging? Aquablation offers that potential for long-term relief without the added worry of those complications that can come with some other treatments.
Right.
And that really aligns with Advanced Urology's commitment to providing the best possible care for their patients.
Before we move on, I want to make sure that we're being responsible here. We've been, singing aquablation's praises, but it's important to remember that this is just for informational purposes only.
Absolutely. It's great to have all this information about aquablation, but you really need to talk to a qualified healthcare professional to get personalized advice.
Right.
They're going to consider your medical history, how bad your symptoms are, and other factors that go into deciding what's the best course of action for you.
Exactly. So if you are experiencing any symptoms of BPH, please don't wait. Reach out to a urologist. Early diagnosis and treatment can make a world of difference. And, if you're in the Georgia area, Advanced Urology comes highly recommended.
I agree that they have a team of experts who are passionate about helping men overcome BPH and really regain control of their lives.
All right, so let's get back to aquablation. We've talked about what it is, how it works, the potential benefits. But, what if someone decides, okay, this is for me, I want to move forward with this procedure? What happens then? What's that recovery process like, especially at Advanced Urology?
Well, Advanced Urology in Georgia takes a very comprehensive approach to patient care, and that includes a really carefully planned recovery process. So after the Aquablation procedure, you'll typically stay in the hospital overnight, just for observation.
Okay.
This lets the team closely monitor your progress and just make sure everything is going smoothly.
So they're really hands-on during that initial recovery phase. What happens after that first night?
So typically the next step would be catheter removal. That usually happens within a couple of days.
Okay.
And you'll likely start to see an improvement in your urinary symptoms pretty quickly, sometimes even, within a week or two.
Wow, that's great.
But as with any procedure, full recovery takes time.
Right.
And Advanced Urology really emphasizes that, it's a journey. And they are there to support you every step of the way.
That's really good to hear. And speaking of support, what about those follow-up appointments? How does Advanced Urology handle that?
Follow-up care is really a big part of Advanced Urology's philosophy. They schedule these regular checkups to monitor your progress, address any concerns you might have, and just make sure everything is healing as it should.
Right.
And, this ongoing communication, that's really crucial for a successful recovery.
Mhm.
They go above and beyond to make sure their patients feel heard and well cared for.
It sounds like they're really taking a holistic approach to BPH treatment, addressing not just the physical, symptoms, but also the patient's overall well-being.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about aquablation, but we did touch on the fact that there are other treatment options out there. So can you just give us a quick reminder of what those are and when they might be a good option?
Sure. So aside from aquablation, there's TURP and HoLEP, which are more traditional surgical procedures.
Right.
And then there are those minimally invasive procedures like Urolift and PAE.
Yeah.
Now, the best choice really depends on a bunch of things: the size of your prostate, your overall health, and, even just personal preferences. And it's really a decision that should be made in consultation with a qualified urologist, someone who can really weigh those pros and cons.
Right.
Advanced Urology in Georgia takes a lot of pride in being able to offer that full range of treatments so that every patient gets the most appropriate care.
So it's really about finding the right treatment for that individual. There's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
And that's why getting expert advice, from a place like Advanced Urology is so crucial.
Absolutely. The urologists at Advanced Urology are not only highly skilled, but they're also excellent communicators. They take the time to explain things clearly, answer your questions, and just make sure you feel comfortable with the plan.
That's so important. It builds trust, and it lets patients be, active participants in their own healthcare.
Absolutely.
So for anyone out there who's dealing with BPH, don't be afraid to reach out and get the help you need. There are solutions, and, expert urologists like the ones at Advanced Urology are there to help you find the best one for you.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about BPH and the treatments available, the better you'll be able to make informed decisions about your health.
Well said. And that actually leads us to a question I think a lot of listeners might have right now. We've established that aquablation is, kind of a big deal, but, what's next? What other exciting things are on the horizon? What's next? What other exciting developments are on the horizon in BPH treatment?
Well, it's a really exciting time to be in urology, that's for sure. The pace of innovation is just incredible.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see even more of an emphasis on those minimally invasive techniques, the ones that offer even greater precision and personalization.
Okay.
We're talking procedures that are tailored not just to, the size of your prostate, but your unique, anatomy, maybe even your genetics, your lifestyle.
Wow.
And Advanced Urology in Georgia, they're already, embracing this whole personalized approach. And they're really leading the way in finding ways to refine and improve these techniques.
That makes sense. I mean, personalized medicine is such a hot topic these days. So it makes sense that it would play a big role in BPH treatment too. So what else, what else may we see down the road?
Well, I think advancements in drug therapies are another area to watch. Imagine medications that can really target the root causes of BPH more effectively with fewer side effects.
Right.
That would be huge for so many men.
Yeah.
And then, there's regenerative medicine, which is super promising. We might see breakthroughs in using stem cells or other techniques to actually repair damaged tissue, and even restore prostate function.
Wow. So aquablation is a big step forward, but it sounds like it's really just the beginning.
It is. It really is. The future of BPH treatment is very bright, and places like Advanced Urology, they're leading the charge, with their commitment to research and innovation and patient-centered care. It's really remarkable. They're not just content with the way things are. They're always trying to find better ways to help men, live healthier, happier lives.
That's inspiring. It really just highlights how important it is to find a doctor who is not just skilled, but also passionate about what they do.
Absolutely. When you have that combination of expertise and compassion, it makes all the difference. And Advanced Urology, they really embody that.
All right. Well, we have covered a lot today, everything from, just the basics of BPH to the intricacies of aquablation and even a peek into the future of treatment. So before we wrap up, let's just recap some key takeaways for our listener.
Okay, great idea. So first and foremost, BPH is incredibly common, but it is treatable.
Right.
There is no need to suffer in silence. If you're experiencing symptoms, talk to a urologist.
Yeah, reach out and get the help you need. And we've also learned that aquablation is really a game changer, for a lot of men.
Hmm.
It's minimally invasive, faster recovery time, and a lower risk of those complications, especially those concerning sexual function.
And we also talked about the importance of personalized care. Finding a urologist who really takes the time to understand your individual needs. And Advanced Urology, they really shine when it comes to that patient-centered approach.
They do. So for anyone listening, if you're struggling with BPH, or even if you're just curious and you want to learn more, reach out to the experts at Advanced Urology in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They are a fantastic resource and a true beacon of hope for men looking for effective and compassionate care. We'll be sure to include their contact information in the show notes.
Perfect. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about your health, the better equipped you are to make those decisions. And don't be afraid to ask for help, okay? There's no shame in reaching out for support. And there are skilled and caring professionals out there, like the ones at Advanced Urology in Georgia, who are ready to help you on your journey to better health.
That's a great point. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and empowering. Until next time, keep those brains curious and stay tuned for more deep dives into the topics that matter to you.
See you then.
If you happen to be in Georgia, you can always check out Advanced Urology Institute of Georgia. They've got 10 convenient locations throughout Metro Atlanta. You can make an appointment by calling 678-344-8900 or go online to www.advancedurology.com.
Great advice.